Hi, Shanna here with Not Just Small Talk. My guest today is Dana Boisseau. She's a spiritual medium, and she has been a dear friend for a very long time. I know many of us are interested in her gift and maybe don't understand how it works, so I thought she would be a great guest to tell us a little more about her way of speaking to spirit. Shanna Forrestall with Not Just Small Talk. I'll be right back. Hi, Shanna Forrestall here with Not Just Small Talk, and my guest today is someone super special. Her name is Dana Boisseau, and she communicates with someone that you may have trouble communicating with. Tell us a little bit about what you do, lady.
Okay, well, my name is Dana Boisseau, and I am a spiritual medium. So what I do is I'm very good at connecting with spirit.
And so I know some of you might be, leery about all this. So that's why I wanted to bring her on to talk about it today, because I was not sure how I felt about it. And then I had a session with Dana a few months ago, and some really amazing things came out of that session, like knowledge that I needed for my life, like really specific, direct, important, crucial knowledge came into my life through this beautiful woman. And so I just wanted to share that with you, share with you a little bit about her work, talk about some of the things that Spirit could help us with.
Okay.
And just, just chat with my girl.
Honey, just chat it up, child.
We met years ago because she's key hair on films.
Yeah, but not anymore. I'm
for
retired.
years.
Yeah, for
back
years,
in the day.
almost 20 years.
So she was always in my hair for a while when I was doing film industry
I
down here a lot.
Oh my God, she
And
was
then
one of my favorite actors.
And then I knew you had gifts, but I didn't know the extent of them. And so when I saw your post and you said, "Oh, I'm doing this full time," she's actually walked away from here to do this full time to help people connect to spirit. I saw that and I was like, wow, that's something I've always been intrigued about, but had never experienced. And you are someone that I trust, because sometimes you see random people saying they can talk to somebody, and I'm like, I don't know who you talking to,
because they got some cool. I think that was like some of my apprehension coming out of the closet per se. I was like, oh, I think I'm crazy,
right? But I knew you, and for so many years, and I trusted you, and I was like, if anybody can do this, you can do this.
Yes.
And if you said you could do it, I believed you. So
right.
And then you proved it.
Right.
So there's that.
Right.
But so let's talk about your giftings. I mean, you've had these gifts for a while, but they've increased.
Yeah, I've always had them since a kid. My mom. I even remember my mom and my fellow classmates, telling me that I used to come up to them saying, "Your grandmother said hi." And I don't even remember that, but it's kind of like when I came out, all these stories started coming to me. And I was like, oh my God, did I do that? I was like, what did you say? They were like, oh, we just never paid attention to you, so we just kind of let you say it and keep going. And my mom said the same thing, So I never, it was weird because I grew up with it so close to me that it never dawned on me for a long time that it was spirit. I didn't know really who I was really talking to, but I knew that I was having conversations in my head, but I knew also that I can separate it. So I didn't feel crazy. Right. I just felt like there's a world here that I like to play in, and then there's a world here that so if this world was upset me, I'll go in my spirit world, you know what I mean? And that's how it's always been. That's how it's always been. And it wasn't until I got way older, I'm talking like in my 30s, almost into my 40s is when it started coming really, really strong. Wow. And it started being harder and harder for me to be on movie sets, to be in people's heads, to be in some locations. Because, we film in all kind of crazy locations. And, I'm trying to film Do Your Hair. And I see, Bob the Carpenter, jump up from behind the sofa. I'm like, Oh my God.
Hello.
You know what I mean? And nobody knew about it at the time, so I wouldn't say anything,
Right.
you know. And so, and on top of that, I can read energy really clearly. So whatever, whosever hands head I was in, it transferred to me. So it would like drain me, you know. So it was a lot. And so, you know, by the time, you know, I hit my 40s, I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I have to serve my purpose. This is what it is. Let the chips fall where they may, honey. And I've been doing it ever since.
That's beautiful. So for most of us, you know, I think a lot of people struggle with their spirituality feeling very far away.
Yes.
And spirit feeling very far away. And I think the gift of having someone like you is not only do you make it more accessible to us, but you, especially you, do it in a way that's not scary, it's not intimidating. I mean, we met at the park and we sat by the pond and we had a conversation.
Yes,
that's
that's
how
all
easy
it
it
is,
was.
a
It was very
conversation.
simple.
That's right.
It was very beautiful. It was very specific and very powerful for my life. And I think that, you know, having people like you that know how to utilize this gift, but also make it not threatening into us is important, because I think
thank you
spirit
for
wants
that.
to, well, no, it's the truth, but I
Yeah.
think spirit wants to communicate with all of us,
That's
right?
right. That's right.
Because you kept telling me that there were a lot of people who wanted to help me,
That's
and I'm
right.
trying to really be aware of that now. That you know, we're not alone,
That's
and
right.
it doesn't have life doesn't have to be so scary.
That's right. That's
So
right.
talk about that, maybe. If,
I think that at least for me, the best thing that I did see was that, okay, so nobody really dies. You just go to the next, you know, part of your life, you know, which I really did like. And I think that also what I had to recognize is that just because you go to your next life doesn't mean that that spirit loses a personality, or they get, you know, like a ghost, or they get freaky, or they have all the answers to everything. Like, nah, you know, whoever their personality was in the present life, that's how their personality
that's
is.
what amazed me
Listen,
about our
girl,
session.
I
Like,
was amazed myself, honey, when I
she
started
spoke
seeing
to one of my
personalities.
relatives, and when I tell you, had no way of ever knowing her.
Right.
Spoke like her. I mean, the things you said, I knew it was her. Like, there was no way anybody else. We talked about things that people in my family don't know. I mean, it was specific, it was real, and her personality came through.
Yes, the personality
My
always
relative's
comes
personality
through.
came through, which
Yes,
was amazing, because it was like being around her again, even though she's gone. And that was a revelation for me, because I didn't know really what form we went into when we passed over. And so finding out that we actually do stay kind of ourselves and still evolve.
That's
she
right.
was still
That's right.
forgiving,
That's
being
right.
forgiven,
That's right.
laughing, crying. Like,
Life
she was
does
still
not end.
experiencing
That's
and
right.
feeling,
They
which was
need forgiveness
incredible.
just like we do, honey. They need
incredible.
healing just like we do. Exactly. Yes.
I hadn't been sure about that till that experience, and I was like, okay. It gave me a lot of peace in a lot of ways.
That's what it does.
Because if you can't finish it,
yes,
like I'm not as afraid of dying now, because I'm like,
exactly.
I can still do things.
That's right.
You know what I
That's
mean? It's
right.
not
That's
done
right.
and done, right?
I tell people that, you know, people in your lives, when they die, it's not, you know, I know it's, you know, very hard to, you know, do this, but I tell people that, you know, at this time when they die, it's not your time to mourn them. It's time to figure out a different relationship with them, a different way to communicate with them, a different way to feel them, to hear them, to be with them, to honor them. You know, that is the goal, you know, when they cross over. Okay, well, now how do I communicate? Because you're not sitting right here in my face. I can't feel you. I can't touch you. So now I have to figure out a different way to communicate with you, because you're not going. You know, if a man and a husband get into a fight, you know, the man and the husband, the wife on the earth and the man in the realms could still be fighting. Okay, and now it's her time. Well, he didn't, you know, died in the middle of our fight. Now what the hell? Oh, girl, that ain't no problem. Now you get an altar, you know, you light a candle, you put his picture next to it, and trust and believe he's going to see it. He's going to acknowledge it. Now, whatever little fight y'all had to finish, y'all can finish it right now. It's still going to be the same thing. You just have to hear them different.
Right. So, you know, grief is a hard thing,
Yes.
and I think we all go through grieving differently.
That's
we grieve
right.
differently, and you saw my short film. I sent it to
Yes,
you.
yes, it was
called
wonderful,
Grieve.
by the way. Y'all need to go see it, honey.
But
it was wonderful. Go
But I
ahead.
wrote that because I know that I'm a human, and when I grieve something, I have trouble letting go.
Yes.
It's like that letting go process
Yes.
is really hard. But I think what's important about your work is that you're teaching us how to let go in the ways we need to, but
Yes.
also to know that we don't have to fully let go.
That's right.
And I think that's why people
right.
get stuck in
yes,
a grief
they
loop.
do. That's exactly.
Because they think, well, if I let them go, then they're gone
They're gonna
forever.
go forever. That's
and I have
right.
nothing of them left or no connection left. But that's not true, right?
That's not true at all.
So I think you can help a lot of people who have unfinished business or grief or things like that
Yeah.
to work through that and to find a way to
Absolutely.
heal and move on.
That's right. And a lot of times, through grieving, you also uncover some other healings that you really needed to do, and without that death, this healing wouldn't be happening. So you kind of come out better on the end if you're able to do it properly, if I use the word, correctly, I just feel like when you honor their memories, when you talk about them, when you laugh about them, don't be scared of that, even though it may be painful, but it's in those times where you're learning how to communicate with them.
Right.
You're learning how to be with them again. And that's what's really important, because that's what's going to give you your healing, and that's what's going to make a healthy relationship between you and your spirit.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. And this is such a personal journey. So I would encourage you, if this is something that's
Yeah.
been hard for you, maybe you lost someone or and you haven't been able to figure that out, you might want to have a conversation with her because she does incredibly powerful work. And I have to tell you, my experience was very specific, and it was literally life-changing. I got knowledge I needed right then from my life, and I've applied it, and it's paying dividends already.
Oh,
so
I'm so
thank
happy
you for
that.
using
I think
your
that's
gift
our
to
main
help
goal
me.
with me and Spirit, to make sure that we give you guys the tools or whatever you need in order to go on with a productive and happy life.
Right. And we're going to put her social media and information on this for you so you can find her. Dana Boisseau, thank you for being on the show.
Oh, thank you, my love.
Tell everybody, Spirit, I said hi.
It's so funny. As soon as you said that, I think her grandmother's here right now, actually. As soon as she said that, she's like this. I'm like, oh my God. I was like, I know who you are. I recognize that. Yeah. It looks right. So she just came. She was like, okay, bye. She said, I just didn't want to interrupt. I just wanted to say hi to you guys. She said, and it's good to see us together. That's what she just said.
Aww.
And then she just did that, and now she's going.
Aww.
That's so funny. I didn't expect that. I didn't even know she would come here, because you're in this, but whatever, child.